This is my in-depth analysis of the 3-minute-long short film, The Black Hole. This short film is about one ordinary man who works in an office. At first he is lethargic and bored, just getting on with his printing. Once he discovers what he can do, his greed and amazement overcomes his morals and he finds himself in a tricky situation, and the film ends with him still stuck in the safe. Before going any further, I'm going to go through the codes and conventions of a short film. The 4 main codes and conventions of a short film are 1 developed character, a catalyst, circular narrative, and audience expectations are not achieved. 1 developed character. There is normally only 1 developed character in a short film, along with other characters, because the film is so short. In The Black Hole, the lack of dialogue and speech in the short film means we do not get to know the developed character's name. However, he is the only character we meet, therefore is the only developed character. We follow his actions, see his character develop, and are left at the end of the short film wanting to know where he ends up after finding himself stuck in the safe. A catalyst. The catalyst of the film is the point when the black spot prints out of the printer. It changes the character's mood and gives the film its storyline, also being the name of the short film. Circular narratives. Short films usually follow a circular narrative where there is the same setting or sound or location at the start and beginning of the film. The film follows a circular narrative using non-diegetic sound. The film begins with the sound of the printer photocopying and ends with the same continuous sound. There is also a unity of time and place. The short film takes place in the office throughout and is set all within 5 minutes, not alternating from different times or places. Audience expectations are not satisfied. The end of the film brings an unsuspected ending, as the only developed character is automatically the protagonist, so when he finds himself stuck in a safe after attempting to steal money, the audience are left to question his role as either a protagonist or an antagonist. The ending does not satisfy audience cravings to know what happens next either, protesting the expectations of the audience. The effect of this convention is to make the audience wanting to know more. In this analysis, I will keep referring to these 4 codes and conventions. Analysing the technical code includes camera angles, sound, editing and mise-en-scene, so I'm going to stop the clip at points where I've analysed a certain camera angle, sound, bit of editing or a bit of mise-en-scene. The very first shot is an establishing shot of the setting with the title shown on front of the office, which is out of focus, being an example of pull focus, and it shows the significance of the object / the catalyst before it has even appeared in the short film. This is the black hole. One very significant part of this film is the performance from the actor who plays the developed character, because it is the only way that we can interact with him, and the lack of dialogue makes his facial expressions even more important. His posture at the beginning of the clip shows he is very lethargic and bored, but then he becomes excited as he discovers the black hole. His facial expression lights up as the clip continues. This specific sound of the black hole is a futuristic sci-fi sound that fluctuates in pitch from extreme low to a high pitch. The sound lasts for however long the character stares at it / the camera focuses on it with an inanimate object comes near it. The significance of this sound is that it contrasts against not only the lack of dialogue and speech, but also the specific choice of sound suggests it to be presented as a strange and odd object, completely unfamiliar to both the character and the audience. The overall pace of the film is very slow at the start to mirror the character's low morale and lethargic mood, but it then starts to pick up as he realises the potential power of the black hole and his true intentions become clear to the audience, which is his greed. There is a significant moment which, in my opinion, is a turning point in the character's degradation in his profile, and it is this moment here. To me, this is a very intense moment for the audience because they are so close to his face of an extreme close-up that you can't avoid his face, which shows his greed and how his morals, he's just losing his morals. I feel that the lighting in this short film is extremely effective and adds to the whole oomph and atmosphere and the mood that the directors and creators are trying to make. At the start of the film, there are neutral colours, low-key lighting and lack of depth to the lighting. This reflects a dark atmosphere. However, as the film continues, we see a little bit more colour, not much. For example, the Snickers bar, there is red on the logo of the Snickers bar. And then during the end of the short film, the low-key lighting comes back and then moves into chiaroscuro lighting. The frame is dominated by no light to reflect the dominance of greed over the developed character as he is highlighted trying to get the money out of the safe. There is no dialogue in the short film, which I personally feel adds to one of the key themes in the film. We do not hear from any other characters or workers in the office, other than the diegetic sound in the background of people typing in computers and printers, and therefore we only interact with this one character. We do not hear from the developed character, and the lack of dialogue accentuates the importance of other sounds and facial expressions, particularly the black hole. Next, the verbal code. There are certain objects used in the short film which could have possible meanings and representations. It is not only the objects but what the character does with these objects and how he reacts. Now this was a hard code to analyse from this clip due to the absence of dialogue from the only developed character and anyone else in the clip. However, the character's gestures is his way of expressing his emotions, and the sound of the printer and the diegetic sound in the background adds to the mood and the atmosphere at the start. As mentioned many times throughout this analysis, the character's lethargic mood at the beginning of the film is shown through his body language. His shoulders are slouched, face is showing little expression other than to be bored, and his overall performance is suggesting that he is fed up. The lack of dialogue, I personally think, is significant because it accentuates his body language and gestures, giving a clear pronouncement of his mood and emotions. If he was to speak, I guess we would get to know the developed character a little bit more, but then when he does get stuck in the safe, we'd be more sad and feel more pity for him. Instead, we're thinking, is he the antagonist? Is he the protagonist? Am I happy that he's in the safe because he has done something wrong? Or do I want to know if he gets out? As the character's greediness starts to take over his emotions and mood, his body language completely changes. We do not have to hear anything from him to understand that he is being manipulative and feeling selfish, because his gestures present this effectively. For example, his shoulders hunch and his eyebrows show his emotion and pleasure when he realises he can get through the door because of the black hole. The symbolic code. Looking at symbols and representations in the short film. One of the obvious symbols? The black hole. The black hole represents greed, and it flips the mood of the character because he discovers what it does, like the power it has. The black hole overwhelms the developed character, who is someone within a conflictive society. He is bored and is getting fed up of his job in the office. He attempts to steal and does something completely immoral within society because of this one black hole. Another symbol not as obvious, the sellotape. The developed character uses to stick the paper onto the vending machine and the safe. The sellotape is the tool which allows the developed character to continue his greed and slowly lose his morals, and when the paper falls because the sellotape can no longer hold it, this is a representation of the developed character losing his morals. The chocolate or Snickers bar acts as a pathway, an addictive substance which motivates the developed character to continue to venture on his journey of greediness. Next, the structure. What narrative structure has this short film used, and is it effective? As mentioned before, the stereotypical convention used in a short film is a circular narrative. This film does follow a circular narrative, but of course without a resolution. In this case, the circular narrative is shown at the start of the clip, where you can hear the photocopier, and at the end of the clip, where you are left hearing the photocopier. The narrative conflict. As there is only one character, he only conflicts with himself. He battles with his greed, and it overwhelms him so much that he finds himself stuck in the safe, with no way out. Of course, he does not know that he is overwhelmed, but as an audience, we can see that it is wrong. This makes the film more interesting for the audience, because it is in an unusual situation, where the character becomes both protagonist and antagonist. Therefore, overall, the short film, The Black Hole, does follow many codes and conventions of a short film. From this, I have learnt that for my short film I make at the end of this project, I do not necessarily need dialogue to make the film interesting. I can add symbols and hidden meanings in the film in order to confuse the audience.